Welcome to the future, maybe. Picture this. You're trying to buy a bottle of suspiciously cheap gin. The cashier, a teenager who looks like they've seen the heat death of the universe, asks for your ID. Instead of fumbling for that frayed, peeling driving license you've had since you had questionable hair, you just whip out your phone. Tap scan. Boom. You are legally old enough to make poor life choices. Now imagine using that same phone app to prove you have the right to work, prove you have the right to rent a flat, prove you have the right to open a bank account, prove you have the right to access the NHS. This isn't some far-off sci-fi fantasy. This is the future the UK government is enthusiastically sprinting towards, and it's called a digital ID. As of today, October 3rd, 2025, the government has been making some very loud noises about making digital IDs not just an option, but a mandatory part of life. They've announced plans to have a system in place before the end of this parliament, tying it directly to your ability to work and access crucial services. It's a massive, society-altering project being sold to us with the slick, unblinking optimism of a tech bro pitching a new kind of juicer. And whenever the government gets that excited about a new way to collect our data, it's probably a good time to sit up, pay attention, and ask some very pointed questions. The central promise is one of seamless convenience. A world where bureaucracy melts away, replaced by the clean, satisfying beep of a successful verification. No more sending photocopies of your passport into the void. No more waiting weeks for a background check. Everything you need to prove who you are, all neatly contained in the same device you use to watch cat videos and argue with strangers on the internet. It's a compelling vision, a future where the friction of daily life is sanded down to a smooth digital finish. It's the kind of promise that makes you want to believe, to just nod along and accept the shiny new thing. But let's be honest. When has a massive government IT project ever gone smoothly? This is the country that spent billions on a failed NHS computer system and can't seem to run a functioning train service. Entrusting our core identities to a centralized digital system managed by the same people feels a bit like asking a toddler to carry a Ming vase across a polished floor. The potential for things to go spectacularly, comically, and catastrophically wrong is immense. So before we all download the My Identity TM app and link our entire existence to it, we should probably read the terms and conditions, because they are long, they are complicated, and they could change everything about what it means to be a citizen. Alright, let's break this down. What exactly is a digital ID? In its simplest form, it's a verified electronic version of your real-world identity. Think of your passport or driving license, but instead of being a piece of plastic, it's a secure file or app on your smartphone. It would be linked to a central government database containing key information about you, your name, your date of birth, your address, and crucially, your biometric data, things like a fingerprint or a facial scan. The idea is that this digital credential would be the one-stop shop for proving you are who you say you are, both online and in the real world. The UK government's push for this system is driven by a few key motivations. First, they claim it will make life dramatically easier. Imagine applying for a mortgage, a job, or even a university course, and being able to verify your identity in seconds, not weeks. It's presented as a way to modernize the state, to drag the creaking machinery of public services into the 21st century. No more posting precious documents and praying they don't get lost. It's all about speed, efficiency, and reducing the soul-crushing paperwork that defines so much of modern life. It's the bureaucratic equivalent of getting a fiber optic upgrade. Then there's the fraud angle. Identity fraud is a massive problem. Forged documents, stolen identities, it's a criminal enterprise. The government argues that a secure, biometrically linked digital ID would be much, much harder to fake than a physical card. By creating a single, trusted source of truth for everyone's identity, they believe they can clamp down on everything from financial scams to people working illegally. A noble goal, to be sure. But let's be clear. This isn't just about convenience or fighting crime. A huge part of this push is about immigration control. The government sees a digital ID as a powerful tool to enforce its right to work and right to rent policies. Landlords and employers would be required to scan a person's digital ID to confirm their immigration status instantly. This transforms the digital ID from a simple proof of identity into a gatekeeper for basic necessities like a job and a home. It's a significant expansion of the state's power to monitor and control who gets to participate in society, and that's where things start to get very complicated. For anyone with a memory that stretches back further than the last season of the Great British Bake Off, this whole national ID thing sounds eerily familiar. Because it is. The UK has a long, fraught, and frankly embarrassing history with identity cards. Back in the early 2000s, Tony Blair's Labour government went all in on a national identity card scheme. It was sold with the exact same promises we're hearing today. It would tackle terrorism, fight crime, stop illegal immigration. It was sold as the silver bullet for society's ills. The project was an unmitigated disaster. Overrun costs, endless technical problems, fierce opposition. In 2010, the new coalition scrapped the entire scheme and destroyed the National Identity Register. Britain had rejected the National ID card. So why are we having this conversation again? Why is the sequel being greenlit after such a flop? It's a very, very good question. The government says, this time it's different. This isn't a plastic card. It's a digital ID. It lives on your phone. Modern, cool. But that's clever marketing. Rebranding a toxic idea in shiny technology. Hoping we've forgotten the last debacle, or that an app's convenience will blind us to the issues. Changing plastic to pixels doesn't change the core. A centralized, state-mandated system for identifying and tracking the entire population. Same soup, different bowl. Let's be fair for a moment and look at the government's arguments in their best possible light. They are painting a picture of a streamlined, efficient, and safer future, and some of their points do have a certain logic to them. The headline benefit is convenience. We already use our phones for banking, shopping, navigating. Why not for proving our identity? It would slash time on things like getting a new mobile contract, completing a house purchase. For businesses, less time and money spent on clunky manual identity checks. It's an economic efficiency argument. Fight against fraud and illegal work is a cornerstone of the pitch. A digital ID verified with biometrics would be hard to forge. Harder for criminals to open accounts or get jobs illegally. A single, secure digital gateway for employers and landlords could turn off the tap for illegal labor and rentals. Modernizing public services is another key pillar. NHS, local councils, DWP rely on outdated paper-based systems. A digital ID could allow seamless data sharing between departments. Register your details once, use your verified identity to access public services. Reduce errors, speed up applications for benefits, speed up healthcare access, cut down administrative waste. Not a new system from scratch, but standardizing the messy one we already have. A trusted framework, a gold standard for digital identity to bring order. Give individuals more control, see who checks their identity and why. Security, order, putting you back in the driver's seat. Now for the other side of the coin. For every promise of convenience, critics see a looming threat to privacy and civil liberties. The most immediate concern is a massive, centralized database. Such a database would be an incredibly tempting target for hackers, foreign states, criminals. A single successful breach could be the biggest identity theft catastrophe in history. The government can talk about robust security, but its track record is, to put it charitably, appalling. Beyond the risk of hacking, there's the even more chilling prospect of government surveillance. A mandatory digital ID required for work, housing, accessing services would create a detailed digital footprint. Every time you scan your ID, a record could be created. That data could build a frighteningly detailed profile of every citizen. Then there's the issue of exclusion. A system built around smartphones and reliable internet will leave vulnerable people behind. The elderly, the homeless, people in abusive relationships. A mandatory digital ID risks creating a two-tier society. A digital in-group who can access services with a tap, and a digital out-group locked out of work, housing, and support. Instead of improving access, it could erect new, insurmountable barriers. And finally, function creep. Governments often expand systems beyond their original purpose. The National ID was sold as an anti-terror tool, but morphed into access to public services. Critics fear digital IDs could follow the same path, starting as age-proof, then monitoring travel, tracking attendance at protests, even restricting services based on behavior. Once surveillance infrastructure exists, the temptation to use it keeps growing. So, how would this brave new digital world actually function? Actually, how would it work? The government has outlined a model based on a trust framework. They won't build one monolithic app themselves. Instead, they'll certify private companies to provide digital ID services. You choose a certified provider to create your digital identity. Scan your passport, scan your driving license, take a selfie, or record a short video for face matching. That creates your biometrically verified digital ID. It lives in a secure wallet on your smartphone. Need to prove your age? The business requests verification through their system. Your app asks your permission to share only the specific info required. Buying alcohol? It confirms, yes, over 18. It does not share your name. It does not share your address. It does not share your date of birth. Data minimization is the key selling point. Security is the multi-billion-pound question. The plan relies on advanced encryption, phone fingerprint readers, and face scanners. Data would be decentralized. No single giant honeypot. Your identity info stays on your device. But providers still connect to government databases, Home Office, HMRC, creating multiple potential failure points across public and private systems. Inclusion matters. What about people without smartphones? They promise non-digital alternatives, but details are thin. Alternatives will likely be slower and clunkier, a second-class option. The UK isn't inventing this concept in a vacuum. Many other countries have already dived headfirst into the world of digital identity. The poster child is Estonia. 99% of public services online. Citizens use secure digital ID for voting, paying taxes, accessing health records. It's deeply integrated, widely trusted, and seen as a core part of their national identity. But it was built in a newly formed state with a small, tech-savvy population and high trust in institutions. That is, not the UK. Even Estonia isn't perfect. A major 2017 security flaw, forced suspension, and updates of hundreds of thousands of ID cards. India's Aadhaar covers over 1 billion people to reduce welfare fraud. While it has seen successes, there have been massive data breaches and reports of people denied essentials due to scanner failures, and accusations of mass surveillance. Elsewhere, Germany's digital ID adoption is slow and voluntary amid privacy concerns. France has faced legal challenges and protests. The single most important ingredient is public trust. Bulldozing this through without genuine consent is a recipe for disaster. Over in the United States, the land of the free, the home of the deeply suspicious of federal government, the approach to digital ID is completely different. There is absolutely no appetite for a national, federal digital ID. Instead, a fragmented, state-by-state patchwork of digital driver's licenses is emerging. States like Arizona, Colorado, Maryland have rolled them out, living in your phone's digital wallet. For now, they're used for things like proving age or certain airport security checks. Adoption is voluntary and growing slowly. People won't adopt until more places accept them, and places won't invest until more people have them. Civil liberties groups worry about expanded policing and tracking, potential coercion during stops, and the digital divide across communities. The federal government isn't creating an ID, but it's nudging states with security and interoperability standards, so a license from Utah works in Florida. It's a powerful contrast to the UK's top-down mandatory approach, slower, voluntary, skeptical of centralized power. So here we are, standing at a major crossroads. Today, on October 3rd, 2025, the UK's plan for a mandatory digital ID is no longer a distant possibility. It's government policy in the making. On one hand, the vision is undeniably seductive. A future free from the tyranny of paperwork, where verifying your identity is as simple as tapping your phone. Less fraud, more efficient services. A modern, digital-first government. Simpler, safer, more streamlined life. On the other hand, the risks are monumental. Creating a centralized infrastructure, enabling unprecedented surveillance and social control. Data breaches, function creep, exclusion of vulnerable groups. This isn't just an IT upgrade, it's a fundamental rewiring of citizen-state relations. We're being asked to take a giant leap of faith. The timeline is ambitious, aiming to have it in place before the next election. Expect fierce legal and political challenges. Privacy advocates are gearing up for battle. Heated debate in Parliament is coming. Public opinion will be the deciding factor. If the government cannot convince people the benefits outweigh the risks and cannot promise robust, legally binding safeguards, this project could become as toxic and doomed as the last. Public trust is the currency this system runs on. Right now, the government's account is overdrawn. Ultimately, this is about the kind of society we want. Do we prioritize convenience or efficiency, even if it means sacrificing privacy or autonomy? Or do we refuse the risk because misuse by a future, less benevolent government is too great a price to pay? There are no easy answers. Technology is neutral. Implementation is what matters. Is a digital ID a useful tool for the modern age, or a Trojan horse for a surveillance state? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. For more deep dives into economics, geography, finance, don't forget to subscribe to Express Econ Geo-Finance Insights. If you found this useful, please like the video and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Share your perspective below. Is digital ID a handy tool or a slippery slope? We read every comment.